Here is something almost nobody tells you when you're in the middle of a career, grinding through the decades, telling yourself you'll slow down eventually, telling yourself the work is almost done, telling yourself just a few more years. The average American retires at 62. The average American also says, when surveyed after the fact, that they wish they had done it sooner. Not later, sooner. And the research behind why is not soft or sentimental. It's hard science. It involves your cortisol levels, your cardiovascular system, your brain's cognitive function, your immune response, and the specific way that chronic work stress compresses the healthy years of your life in ways that no savings account can buy back.
Today, we're going through 6 reasons, grounded in actual research, for why retiring as soon as you are financially able to is not a luxury or a fantasy. It might be one of the most important financial and health decisions you ever make, and most people make it too late. My name is Eric, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, retirement psychology, and the hidden cost of the years people spend working past the point where work is actually serving them. If you've ever wondered whether staying in the workforce longer is really worth it, subscribe and give this a thumbs up. Let's go through all 6.
Before we get into the 6 reasons, let me give you 2 numbers that frame everything that follows. According to the EBRI's 2026 Retirement Confidence Survey, 46% of retirees reported retiring earlier than planned, up from 40% the year before. Nearly half of all retirees didn't choose their retirement date. It was chosen for them by a health crisis, a layoff, a company restructuring, a caregiving need that couldn't wait. Factors beyond an individual's control were responsible for 76% of early retirements in 2025, including health problems, disabilities, and company downsizing.
Here's what that means practically. Most people who tell themselves they'll work until 67 or 68 or 70, most of those people will not get to make that choice. The body or the employer will make it for them on a timeline they didn't plan for and didn't save for. The 6 reasons that follow are not arguments for being reckless with your retirement readiness. They're arguments for taking seriously, right now, while you still have time to act on it, why the goal of retiring as soon as you are financially prepared to should be treated with the same urgency as the goal of saving enough to do it.
Reason number 1, your healthy years are finite and front-loaded. This is the one that lands hardest for most people when they actually sit with it. The years of retirement are not all equal. A 62-year-old and a 72-year-old are both retired, but their capacity to do the things retirement is supposed to be for, travel, physical activity, being present with grandchildren, pursuing hobbies that require energy and mobility, is not the same. The healthy, active years of retirement are concentrated at the beginning. And every year you work past the point where you are financially able to retire is a year you are trading active retirement time for a larger account balance you may not be healthy enough to fully enjoy. A comprehensive review of retirement research published in 2025 examined studies across multiple countries and found that retirement generally has positive effects on physical health, with retirees showing reductions in chronic stress, improvements in sleep quality, and more time for physical activity. These are not small effects. Chronic work stress compresses healthy years. The research is consistent on this across countries, income levels, and industries. You are not simply delaying retirement when you work past your financially ready point. You are trading healthy years for dollars. And at some point in that trade, the math stops working in your favor. Reason number 2. Chronic work stress is literally shortening your life. This is the one most people know abstractly, but haven't looked at directly in terms of hard physiology. Research shows that anxiety and stress peak on Mondays, but it all starts to kick in the night before. There is even a name for it, the Sunday Scaries. That recurring weekly stress cycle is not just an emotional inconvenience, it is a physiological event.
Chronic elevated cortisol, the stress hormone triggered by work pressure, deadlines, difficult managers, job insecurity, and the general grind of sustained professional life, is associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease, immune suppression, accelerated cellular aging, and cognitive decline. Nearly 70% of U.S. workers say they dislike their jobs. Research has found burnout associated with a variety of physical and mental health issues. 70%. If you are in that 70%, if your job is a source of chronic stress rather than genuine engagement, every additional year you spend in it is a year your body is paying a biological cost that no pension adjustment or Social Security delay bonus can offset. The financial case for delaying retirement is real. The physiological case for retiring as soon as you can afford to is also real. And most retirement planning conversations focus entirely on the first without ever mentioning the second.
Reason number 3, retirement makes you measurably happier. Let's talk about what actually happens to reported happiness when people retire, because the data here is more striking than most people expect. A study by Aviva found that 68% of people report an increase in overall happiness when they retire early. The same research found that 44% of early retirees say their family relationships improved, and 34% reported improvements in their friendships.
Freedom, enjoyment, and stress-free are the 3 positive words most commonly associated with retirement, according to a Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies report. These aren't vague sentiments. They represent a consistent, research-validated pattern. People who leave full-time work report feeling better about their lives, their relationships, their daily experience, at rates that dwarf what any raise or promotion produces.
And connecting back to the retirement confidence gap we've covered on this channel before, Gallup's consistent finding that 82% of retirees say they have enough to live comfortably suggests that the happiness boost from retirement is not contingent on being wealthy. It's contingent on being out of the chronic stress environment and into a life you control. The happiness benefit is real, it is measurable, and it is available sooner than most people plan for.
Reason number 4, your brain works better without chronic work stress. Here is one that specifically applies to the people who tell themselves they're staying in the workforce to stay mentally sharp. The argument goes, retirement leads to cognitive decline. Staying engaged, challenged, and mentally active through work keeps the brain healthy. And there is some research support for this position. Social engagement and mental stimulation do matter for cognitive health in older adults.
But here is the nuance that argument misses entirely. A longitudinal study published in 2026 examining retirement's effects on mental health, physical health, and cognitive function found that the timing of retirement matters significantly, and that retirement from high-stress jobs is associated with improvements in cognitive outcomes, not declines. The cognitive benefits of work depend entirely on whether the work is engaging and low stress or grinding and high pressure.
If your job is genuinely stimulating and well-suited to your strengths, staying in it longer may support cognitive health. If your job is primarily a source of chronic stress, deadlines, and diminishing returns, continuing it past your financially ready point is not protecting your brain. It may be doing the opposite. The mental sharpness argument for delayed retirement assumes the work itself is cognitively beneficial. That assumption deserves honest scrutiny for each individual situation.
Reason number 5, the people you love won't wait forever. This is the reason that doesn't show up in financial planning spreadsheets, and it's the one retirees mention most often when they talk about why they wish they had left sooner. The most common reason working respondents said they would retire early was wanting to spend more time with family, cited by 36% of survey respondents. Family. Not travel, not hobbies, not personal freedom.
Family was the #1 stated motivation for wanting to retire earlier. And the specific version of family that drives this? Grandchildren who are young now and won't be young again. Parents who are aging and present now and won't be present much longer. A spouse whose health is good now and may not be later. Has a timeline that does not pause while you work 1 more year, 3 more years, 5 more years for a marginal financial improvement.
The compounding math of money works in your favor when you wait to retire. The compounding math of time with the people you love does not. There is no interest earned on the years you didn't spend with your grandchildren while they were small. There is no catch-up contribution available for the conversations you didn't have with an aging parent. The financial case for working longer is real and calculable. The human cost of working longer than necessary is also real. It is simply harder to put in a spreadsheet. Reason number 6. The plan you wait to execute is the plan that gets made for you.
This is the one that reframes the entire conversation, and it's grounded directly in the most current data available. More than half, 56% of full-time workers in their early 50s get pushed out of their jobs due to circumstances like a layoff before they're ready to retire, according to research by the Urban Institute. More than half.
The majority of people who plan to work until 67 or later will not make it to their planned retirement date on their own terms. They will be pushed by a health event, by a corporate restructuring, by a caregiving crisis, by a body that simply can no longer sustain what the job requires. Factors beyond an individual's control were responsible for 76% of early retirements in 2025. 3 out of 4 early retirements were not chosen. They were imposed. Here is what that means for your planning. If you are building a retirement strategy that only works if you remain healthy, employed, and functional until 67, you are building a strategy that the data says has roughly a 1 in 4 chance of going as planned. The financially robust version of retirement planning is not, I'll work until 67 if I need to. It's, I'll be ready to retire by 62, whether I choose to or whether life chooses for me. Retiring as soon as you can is not just about preference. It is about building the financial resilience to control your own exit, rather than having the exit controlled for you.
I want to be direct about something before the close, because this video should not be used as permission to retire unprepared. Retiring early has real risks: running out of money, healthcare costs going up significantly before Medicare begins at 65, and Social Security benefits being smaller if you retire before 62. Many people who retire without a plan for how to spend their time get bored. They derive their self-worth and most of their social interaction from work and never developed other interests. In retirement, they get depressed.
The case for retiring as soon as you can is not a case for retiring before you are financially ready. It is not a case for retiring without a plan for your time, your relationships, and your purpose. The people who retire successfully and report the happiness and health benefits described in this video are the ones who planned both their finances and their life, not just their savings rate. The goal is not to escape work as fast as possible. The goal is to build the financial foundation that gives you the choice, so that when the moment comes, whether you chose it or life chose it for you, you are ready for it on your own terms.
Here is the honest summary of all sex. Your healthy, active years are finite and front-loaded. Every year you work past your financially ready point is a year of active retirement time you cannot buy back. Chronic work stress has documented physiological costs that compound over decades in ways no account balance can offset. The research on retirement happiness is consistent and striking. 68% of early retirees report increased happiness, and the 3 words most associated with retirement are freedom, enjoyment, and stress-free.
The cognitive benefits of working longer are real only if the work itself is genuinely engaging. For the majority in high-stress roles, the opposite may be true. The people you love have a timeline that does not pause for one more working year, and the plan you wait too long to execute is statistically more likely to be made for you than by you. 46% of retirees in 2026 retired earlier than planned. 76% of those early retirements were driven by factors outside their control.
The question is not whether you want to retire as soon as you can. The question is whether you are building toward being financially ready to do it, so that when the moment comes, chosen or unchosen, you are standing on solid ground. Start building that ground today.